Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains August 15th through the 18th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
So I wake up this morning and I do what I do most mornings. After I go to the bathroom, I look online at the New York Post, and lo and behold, who do I see on the cover? I'm not talking about page 10, page 20. On the cover of today's New York Post, it's not a small thing, but my dear friend, the brilliant attorney, right there with Joseph Tacopina and Alan Dershowitz, the greatest attorneys in the world today, Arthur Aidala. Now, I just was at the Yankee game literally 3 nights ago, Monday night. Keith Kantrowitz, Mark Oranger, Mike Kemper, Anthony Carone, all of us. And Artie comes with his beautiful boy Luca, his son. And I go to Arthur, I go, hey, what's going on with you these days? And well, he brought up Ghislaine Maxwell. We'll get to her in this conversation. But he never said anything to me about this bit, which has him on the cover of today's New York Post. And what it is, you remember a couple of weeks ago, this young, beautiful, blonde lady, was found dead on a ritzy boat in Montauk. And, of course, right away they go to drugs. But it doesn't seem like that's the real truth here. So it turns out Aidala is now representing Martha's family. Here he is, my boy, the great attorney, Arthur Aidala. Good morning, Artie.
Good morning, sir. And it was great seeing you the other night. You looked handsome as usual.
Look who's talking.
You should get in the sun a little bit, though, Sid. You know, you're very pale. And maybe you should hit the gym and, start working out because you're getting a little slight. But anyway, let me just be honest with you. The reason why I didn't bring up the fact that I've been helping the family all weekend. And, I'm just helping them. I'm not charging them anything. They're from Ireland. They're in shock. They don't know our system. They don't know the difference between, the Homicide Bureau versus the District Attorney's Investigations Bureau. There's autopsies, there's medical examiners. They're in shock. They're really in shock. And they're in a foreign country, and thank God they speak our language, but, they just didn't know where to go. A mutual friend connected me with him, I guess it was last Thursday, and I've really just been helping them navigate the system, being in contact with law enforcement, and more or less, honestly, just being a teacher, like explaining things to them. How does this work? How does the homicide investigation work? What's going on? And I was kind of keeping my nose out of it. I didn't want to make it into a whole media thing. And then they got upset about all the negative stories. The media tries to make her into a bad person as opposed to a good person. And so they asked me yesterday, I'll tell you the whole story, while I'm in court with Harvey Weinstein, determining whether he's going to have a third trial or not, I get the call. And on my phone, it's coming in from Ireland. Even though they're here in America, they have an Irish phone number, so I know it's them. So I'm able to excuse myself. And they're just like, Archie, please, we want you to do something now. Please make a statement. And I was like, well, your timing couldn't be better. The whole press is right here, right in front of me, talking about Weinstein. So, we just wanted to let everyone know that the medical examiner did their thing. And right now, there is no cause of death. So everything about the drug overdose, at this point, it's just not accurate to say that that's the fact.
Well, but hold on. But right. And I believe it's not the fact. And again, God rest this poor girl's soul, Martha Nolan-O'Slatarra, and her family going through all this hell. But what the family did say is she may not have OD'd, but there had to be drugs in her system because they've actually weighed the possibility that somebody put drugs in a drink or something she was doing in an effort to take advantage of her, and she died because of that. That's been floated out by the family.
Yeah, and the Suffolk County homicide investigators I mean, they're working their tail off. We have no criticism of them whatsoever. The Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, I'm pretty sure you know Ray Tierney. He's the Suffolk County DA.
Very well. He's a great DA. I know they've got Ann Donnelly in Nassau County. She's terrific. Ray Tierney in Suffolk County. So, for what it's worth, Long Island's got two amazing district attorneys.
Yeah, and they're working hard on this whole thing. Look, if ultimately the toxicology comes back and there are drugs in her system, that's one thing. But the bottom line is the family just didn't want everyone jumping to conclusions. And Sid, you can understand. We're both parents. We're both fathers of daughters. They're just devastated, and all the negative stuff coming out there. She went through a divorce. Okay, been there, done that. She something about the business relationships that she had. They're trying to make a good person into a bad person because it'll keep the story running. And let's face it, Sid, you and I know, if this woman looked a little differently and this happened in a different part of the neighborhood, it wouldn't be all over the place.
Right. No question.
Young, blonde, blue-eyed,
right.
Beautiful woman in Montauk, right? This exclusive enclave in the world. So the story's got such legs.
No, it's got huge legs, and I know for me, I saw the post that day, and I'm like, oh my God! And you're right, because of the way she looked, it catches your attention. It's not fair, but it is a fact. Now, this guy Chris Durnan, he owns the boat where they found her dead, and he's got a couple of boats and a big-time insurance company. Everybody loves him out there in Suffolk County. I don't know him. I know Ray Tierney. I knew Lou Savello. I know him. I know Mike Vandenberg, but I don't know Chris Durnan. But why wouldn't he be, right now at least, a suspect in this?
Well, our understanding is that he has been cooperative. He, from the moment everything happened, he's been questioned extensively. And, the thing is this, unlike when you and I were kids, where if you left the police station, they didn't exactly know where you are. Folks, just so everyone understands, between your cell phone, your Easy Pass, your ATM withdrawal, your credit card, law enforcement knows if they want to know where you are, they know where you are. You ain't going anywhere. So, he's around. They're using all kinds of technology on her phone, her email, her text, her, everything to see who was where, who was doing what, who she was around. And, they're ruling nothing out. So,
yeah.
Wow. It's a tragedy. Yep. And I'm going to have lunch today with her aunt and her mother. They're right here in Midtown. And, just to hold their hand. I mean, literally physically, hold their hand and just say, look, I'm sorry. And if there's anything else we can do, they're going to ship Martha back to Ireland and have a formal funeral there. And, I did speak to people who have seen her in the state she's in now. They're like, look, she looks beautiful. She's fine. They even saying you could have an open casket. That's not going to be a problem. But it's heartbreaking and it's heart-wrenching speaking to these people.
Terrible. Arthur Aidala, the great attorney on the cover of today's New York Post, and because he's a good boy, he is. I've known Artie for almost 5 decades, back to our days at Poly Prep with Joseph Tacopina. He's just a great kid. His parents, alive and well, have done a terrific job, and what you're doing is actually very, very nice. 2 more quick stories. I know you got to run. You mentioned Harvey, and I'll never forget Harvey Weinstein calling this show because of you. Harvey Weinstein called me on this show about 6 weeks ago, and everybody thought he did a great job. Even people that thought he was still guilty, they thought he did a great job. But you just mentioned the possibility of a 3rd trial. That's possible?
Yeah, I mean, the Manhattan DA's office is just being so ridiculous. And when they say, "Oh, we're treating him the way we treat everyone else," it's just not accurate. There's other words I could use, but it's just not accurate.
Bullshit.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, the bottom line is this. Let's face it. People felt like Harvey did pretty well at his last trial. He was accused by 3 women. He was only convicted of 1. The other one he was found not guilty of, and the third one they couldn't decide. And the third one is the lowest level crime. It's an E as an elephant felony. It's the lowest crime. The most he could get is 3 years. He's already done 6. The DA's office could simply say, okay, we're not going to go forward on this because he's facing 25 years on the one he was convicted of. And last time the judge, a different judge, gave him 20 years. He's 73. He's got cancer. He's got heart disease. He's got diabetes, amongst like all other kinds of stuff that he's got wrong with him. Like, even the judge is like, you really want to retry him? Oh, yes, Judge. Yes, she wants her day in court. Meanwhile, she testified last time that it causes her such emotional distress when she testifies in court that she needs all kinds of treatment and everything. So that she said, okay, we're going to try the case in January. The judge goes, no, you're not. You're going to try it much sooner than January. If you really want to try this case, we're going to try it now, meaning like September, October. So they pushed back a little bit. So the judge said, look, here's the deal. I'm giving you until September 30th. You're either dismissing the case before that, and I'll sentence him on the original case, or September 30th, we're picking a date in October or early November to try this case. They're being so heavy-handed. I mean, how many times do you want the guy to die in prison? Like over and over again. But God bless Harvey. He is a fighter. I mean, you could see why he achieved the success he did in the movie industry. He's tenacious, and he's got a strong spirit for a guy who is suffering, and people have acknowledged that everyone in Rikers Island right now is suffering. It's just not a humane place. But he's gonna, he wants to live to fight another day, and he's living all for his children. I mean, it's all about his two little kids, 14 and 12. It's all about them. That's all he talks about. That's the only reason why he's alive. I don't think he'd be here if he didn't have those little kids.
No, it was a very high-profile case, obviously, and continues to be. Back in court with Harvey Weinstein yesterday, Arthur, but another very high-profile client of yours, Ghislaine Maxwell, the Epstein's pal over there, and she's been the topic of a lot of conversation lately. Those DOJ meetings, and what do you know, Ghislaine, and they're trying to find a way to make her life a little easier. And now there's this push, it seems like, for President Trump to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first and foremost, I'm so happy she was moved to a different jail, because I went to go visit her where she was down in Tallahassee, and Sid, you and I, we just don't appreciate our freedom of movement. Like, these correction officers were giving me a hard time about literally how I was sitting in the chair, sitting there talking to her, just the two of us in a big room. Counselor, please sit straight on your chair. Don't look to the left. Look to the right. Like, I'm sitting with a 63-year-old little lady. Like, what's going to happen? So she was in a tough environment. So I'm very happy she's in a much better place, like physically. And look, I know we know President Trump. I sat down with President Trump last June, and I know President Trump's feelings about this. Let's see what happens. I don't think anything's going to happen imminently, but President Trump, whether people want to hear this or not, is a humanitarian. He does identify miscarriages of justice, and anyone who knows anything about the Ghislaine Maxwell case knows she's really doing Jeffrey Epstein's jail time. I submit that if Jeffrey Epstein lived, went to trial, went to jail for life, we probably wouldn't even know the name Ghislaine Maxwell. She only became a headline name after he was dead. The U.S. Attorney's Office spent millions of dollars going after him, and they were left with nothing in with their hands except a dead body. And Ghislaine Maxwell became, the surrogate for him, and that's where we are.
All right, final 2 minutes. Of course, that I met with the mayor, Eric Adams, at Gracie Mansion on Friday. Pretty good 2-hour meeting. Good enough to get him into studio yesterday. First time he's been on this program in 18 months, and I thought he did well. Look, again, I'm endorsing Curtis. People are so stupid, Arthur. If you have Eric Adams in studio or you go to lunch with Andrew Cuomo, that means you're stabbing Curtis Lewa in the back. Nothing could be further from the truth. And by the way, the first person to tell you that happens to be Curtis Lewa himself. But regardless of that, Adams in studio yesterday, thought he did a pretty good job. Are you still representing Ingrid in that case?
Yes, I'm representing Ingrid Lewis Martin, and it's yet another case where the Manhattan DA's office, like, they get caught up in the spotlight of fame, if that makes sense. Luckily you and I live a life where we're around celebrities and on a very regular basis, and you're just Sid and I'm just Arthur. these guys in the Manhattan DA's office, they get their hands on these high-profile cases, and they're not themselves. They don't treat them like they treat other people. So basically, they're targeting Ingrid because they were originally jealous of the U.S. Attorney's Office going after Eric Adams, and they were getting all of this international publicity, the first mayor of the city of New York to get indicted, and they were not going to just be coming second. So they did the next best thing they could. They went after his chief of staff for basically, Sid, what it comes down to is she did her job, which was help someone in the community who she knows for 20 some odd years with a problem that they had, and in return, they helped her. Like like catering food to her granddaughter's party, like some ridiculous thing, not Menendez bags of cash, bars of gold, anything like that. Like, Ingrid, thank you so much for helping us. Don't worry, we'll take care of your grandmother. It's a $1,500 tab. Like, we'll take care of it. We know you a long time. You were at our kid's christening. You were at our nephew's wedding. Like, it's fine. And boom, for them, it's a state crime, and they want state jail time for this 65-year-old woman who's been in public service for 30 years, never been investigated, never been accused of wrongdoing. But now it's like a dog with a bone, and they're not going to let go. So I'm going to fight hard for Ingrid. Sid, I'm going to tell you the truth. Maybe with the exception of representing Lawrence Taylor, I've never had a client that I've represented where so many people have come over to me saying, she did nothing wrong, she's a good girl, take care of her, she's the best.
No, I believe it. And we actually spoke about Ingrid at Gracie, too, for a little bit, the mayor and I, on Friday. So, all right, there it is. That means you got to go. I love you, Artie. You did a great job with me this morning, and good luck with your lunch this afternoon. What you're doing is actually really, really nice. I don't know, neither do you or really anybody else, what happened to this poor young girl, but whatever it is, it's really tragic, and thank you for helping those people out. Thank you.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. So, you listen, honestly, you wouldn't wish this on your worst enemy. And
no.
These women were in Ireland sleeping. They wake up in the morning, everything's fine, and then they get a call. And, it's the worst call you can imagine, losing a child.
Yeah, terrible.
So we're going to do the best, and we'll say a prayer. And, Sid, keep up the great work. I'm glad I'm such a great attorney. Tacopina gets his own weekly show with you, and then Del Shewis gets on a weekly show, and I'm like your girlfriend. Like, when you need me, every once in a while, Aidala's on the cover.
Well, listen, buddy, you spend half your time filling in for Joe Piscopo. What do you want me to tell you?
I love you, Sid.
Love you, too. Work, all right, Artie. There he is, the great attorney. More importantly, one of my dearest friends, just a wonderful human being, the great attorney, Arthur Aidala. We roll on Thursday morning. Sid and Friends in the morning.